Hello, welcome back. Last time I did Tools of the Trade, the weapon level. Continuing in order that things are built, I'm going to move on to blank canvas. So this level is kind of strange. So this is a level about drawing patterns and using those to solve puzzles. I kind of set it in this park sort of place, I guess. Other people are around enjoying the scenery and taking a break. Just a very nice sort of peaceful place. A couple of designs on the ground here. I didn't realize for some reason, but you have to kind of disrupt the artwork here to use the checkpoint if you want to. But it's there. Anyway, yeah, so I feel a little bit strange about this level. It's probably the one I'm least proud of any of the levels in the hold. I think it kind of gets the point across. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. So I'll show you the format here. This room. This was the first room I built in here. Yeah, so the level is about doing stuff like carving in broken walls, dropping trapdoors to make patterns of things. This room has some fairly complicated mechanisms in it. I mean, they're not that complicated, but the gist is you need to have all of the outer evil eyes see you to open this door, and none of the inner ones see you, or else they'll close that door. So you want to block the vision of these, but unblock the vision of these. So the way this ends up working out, roughly, you can step on this pressure plate to check the check your work so far. The way this ends up working out is basically just trace the lasers from all of these and break just those paths if you want to. And the result ends up looking kind of neat. Breaking a horizontal path in here can't be done quite directly like this, so I should start with something diagonal. Like this one, for example. It is kind of a pain to keep going out and coming back in to verify your thing, so you can just sort of take a look at these things and trace them out that way. So yeah, if you just follow the sight lines, you end up doing... I have to know the pattern exactly, so let's just pretend I'm following the sight lines when I do this. Yeah, I do actually break that. That was for this evil eye. This one's for this evil eye. There's one here going this way. One here going this way. The horizontal one that I was trying to break before is right over here. That's starting to look right. You... Who am I missing? This does not look the way it's supposed to. There's this. And one more that needs to go through here somehow. I already got that. It's you, right? Let me just check my work this way. Yeah, it's you, so break diagonally from there. Okay, and that is the pattern. If I check with this pressure plate again, it is a little bit annoying to trace these all out, and I guess I can click and see it a little bit brighter. You probably won't be able to see that because red, thin lines do not encode in video very well. But anyway, all of these are unobstructed now, I think. So I can go through this, and as I step on these, all of the doors that are not the closest one open up. That was to prevent just, stepping through these force arrows over there. The force arrows ensure that I can't just... Actually, what are those force arrows for? They ensure that the evil eyes don't come to me. So yeah, walk around the outside, wake up all those, wake up none of these. At this point I can step on this and it doesn't matter. And just kill everything. So you may have noticed one of these evil eyes is not an evil eye. There's a Wubba here. I'll explain what he's for in a moment. The Wubba was actually a necessary part of the room, because there's a secret room access from here. The Wubba has to start on this plate and then step off it to open that. Without him, this would never open and I couldn't re-enter here. This was set up carefully so that you can you can go into the secret with the room cleared or uncleared, and nothing will be disrupted. If you walk in here without clearing the room first, and re-enter from the secret entrance, you just have to sort of walk out and restart from the outside. That's what this pressure plate is for. That ensures that you can't go through here a second time. So, secret wall there leads to variation. So a lot more evil eyes, a lot fewer obstacles here. So instead of carving out broken walls, in this room I'm moving mirrors around. A quick glance at this shows that every evil eye you don't want to wake, evil eyes you don't want to wake are filling basically every space of this, horizontally and vertically. So you need to block every row and column with a mirror. Another quick glance shows that there are a lot of eyes sort of looking this way, to the southeast. So kind of a logical starting point would be to make a structure something like this. Just a line from northwest to southeast. And that actually gets you reasonably close to a workable solution. So if we check it with the pressure plate again, a few of these get or don't get through, I think. Like this guy, for example, is blocked on this mirror. So you can tweak this pattern to just sort of work which ones of these need to move. This is actually a little bit easier to parse looking at all the sight lines, because all diagonal ones need to get through, all orthogonal ones need to be blocked. So I can just look for diagonal blockages like this one here, and figure out how I could rearrange these to avoid that. So I could do something as simple, I think, as this, and that should do the job. There's a diagonal blockage here, so it'd be better if I did actually this, I think. This seems to be the pattern that most solutions end up looking like. There was actually a pattern that I had in mind for this that's kind of different. Let's see, so this one and this one can just swap vertical positions, and I think that's all I need? Is it really that simple? Looks like it to me, unless I've missed something. Let's see if this works. Mm-hmm. Yep, that lets me in. So let me actually do the pattern that I intended here. The one that I used when I was laying out the eyes to set up the room looked more like... let's see if I can remember. It was something like that. The thing is, I found that enforcement of such patterns can't really be done very directly. Let's see. So trying to enforce this pattern just ended up with, yeah, that was the pattern that I intended. Just ends up with that other one that's mostly aligned from here to here. But this was how it was supposed to look. I just couldn't get specific enough with evil eye sight lines to make that pattern be the one that people would draw. Anyway, that's what it was supposed to look like. I just couldn't set it up that way. So, kill everything. And that's this secret room done. Okay. That also gives you a chance to hear the greenhouse horde music, which I think is fairly nice. Alright, so, down here, this is a pretty easy puzzle. Mimics have to step on these pressure plates at the same time, kind of do a similar toggle thing like in My Pet Bird, once south, once west, where you toggle a fire trap twice, also toggle a door under a fuse to stop the fuse from blowing up the clone. Clone can't do anything here. He's on a force arrow, so he can't move. He's just there to get blown up by the bomb. So the simple way to do this the way that doesn't require too much thinking other than trapdoor pathing, is to just actually mimic this pattern exactly. Just copy the pattern from here to here. There are a couple of one-wide points that make it a little bit tricky to do. If I wanted to do that, I'm doing this probably kind of a weird, silly way. But I'm sort of going from inside out. This looks right so far. Right, that one right there is a tricky one, because that's a one-wide pinch sort of spot. I don't want to drop that, but I do want to drop that. And I've caused myself a problem here, haven't I? Yep, okay, so... yeah, this is the only difficulty here with dropping the trapdoors like this. Just pathing around them the way you need to make this all work. What did I do? This doesn't look right. Also just keeping track of what's where. Looking from one side to the other. Alright, that should be workable. The thing about this, though, is it actually doesn't have to be very exact at all. There are lots of patterns you can draw here that will work. This is just an easy one to remember because it's exactly what's over there. Okay, and that's an exact copy. So, one other little bit of trickery is I can't step onto the pressure plate like this. Oh, and I guess I have to be facing this way. I have to step like this and get the mimics their initial move onto that door as it opens, because you don't have enough time to do it the other way. This path is not changeable. Trapdoor closes that, and there is a trapdoor gate that you have to drop. So with this setup, don't waste any moves. Oops, I wasted a move. And there we go. Room solved. And once again, there's a variation that's a little bit different. So kind of a more kinky sort of path over here, and less space over there. You can't draw the exact same thing here as here. So the way I usually do this is I kind of take advantage of the diagonals that are going to happen in this path. Let's see. How would I do this? I don't actually have a great process for this. I just need to look at, for example, if I had you, if at the point that you step southeast, you're moving from here to here, and this is a straight shot all the way down, I think that would actually just work. So something like this. And then just the question is, how do I make sure that that is the first southeast that you see? I can try a pattern like this. I think there's a reason this won't work. Let's find out what that reason is. That might just work. I've used up a lot of those already, but actually... whoa, I wasted a move. Actually, this looks about right to me. But you arrived too early. That's the trick here. You arrived too early because of this kink in the path. Okay, so what I actually need is... I can do something similar to this, but I need a... how would that work? If I have... okay, so when you make that move... actually, this might just work, because then that'll offset him in a similar manner. You'll synchronize again on that. So when you make this step... Right, so when you make this step, that mimic will move from here to here. Then when you make this step, he moves over here. Then you go north and south again. And this step from here to here actually goes just south 1 to there. That's no good, isn't it? Well, let's try. Like I said, I actually don't have a great way of thinking about this. I had to sort of try things until a pattern works in this room. Yeah, this whole level has a bunch of very open-ended rooms. You just kind of solve them however you want to. Nothing is particularly strict. That looks appropriate to me. There we go. Okay. So that's most of the easy rooms out of the way. The rest of the rooms in here are a little bit trickier. I'm going in kind of a weird order. This is mostly the order that things were built on the level. This is probably one of the trickiest rooms on the level. Constructs have to come to these pressure plates in pairs. If they don't step on them at the exact same time, then fire trap blows up powder keg and activates seeding beacon. So you don't want that. They have to die in the hot tiles and also drop all the trapdoors. I do kind of wish I'd made this slightly more obvious, because this is kind of missable right here. Not sure what I could do with that, though. I guess some sort of lighting cue or something. Anyway, that's the thing that opens the constructs. This just locks me in here, so I need to set up some paths for them. So I cheated a little bit with the way I built this room. I added these, which are kind of references for me to know how to build a trapdoor path. I kind of figured players would do something similar to the way that I do the room, but they didn't really end up doing it that way, so I'll show you the path that I used for this. Let me just think about this for a moment. What do I need to do here? Right, so I'm going to split the constructs up by 2s. They're going to... yeah, this looks approximately right. Something like that. Let's see, and then I repeat it. Okay, so I have that there. This will make sense in a moment. I'll do one of these and show you how it works. You would get hung up there. Let me just make sure this one thing works. So with a path like that, if I bring constructs... oh, right, I guess I would need to block that a little bit. This is a lot of trapdoors to drop for a room with a trapdoor gate, I realize. Well, now I want to dispose of all but the 2 who are coming down here. So I think if I do something like that, maybe even this, probably not that. That'll let me test this. No, not even... well, I got one. Okay, movement order's a little bit funny. It mostly doesn't really matter, because the constructs will all have their own little trapdoor paths, and turn order doesn't really play into it too much. Yeah, the idea here, I can make this happen. The idea here is that I would wait... okay, well that just kind of happened. I would have these waiting in a formation like that. These are configured spaced apart so that I can just step straight south and have those synchronize when they step off the things. And then get in there in sync. Okay, so that's what I want. So I just need to repeat this pattern once here, then mirror it and repeat it twice more. It is a little bit different from this because I need to actually have trapdoors here this time. They would look kind of like this. And then this. That seems like what I want. Okay. And then I mirror... okay, let's see. So that protrusion is there. So that means it would be all the way up here? That seems pretty far away, but okay. Wait, what does that mean exactly? I'm going to drop this many? Oops. Something like this. Oops, right, so I need to do that. Again, very open-ended room, lots of ways to do this. This is just the way that I like to do it. And then that protrudes which way, how? Like this? That sounds about right. Sure. Why not? 2 here. And then 1 here like this. Okay, I think that's what I want. Alright, so this is the pattern I use. What should happen is I can just sort of go to the north, filter those in there, then they have places— oh wait, I need one all the way north. They have places to park themselves and not get into too much trouble. Ooh, I went too far north. I only want 1 up there. And then those will be primed and ready to go when I come back. Do the same thing down here. Prime those, and just do this. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, room clear. That's probably a nightmare to optimize. Okay, yeah, so this room. This is another kind of complicated one. Like, this and this are probably the 2 most complicated on the level. Overall, I think this level is kind of a break in difficulty from the rest of the hold. It's generally easier, a lot more open-ended. This room is one that's sadly kind of broken. I forgot to enforce one of the mechanisms here. So all these bombs and complicated pressure plate stuff with wubbas on them, this ensures that all 4 of these have to be released at the same time in order not to activate the seeding beacon. The thing I forgot to do was to make sure it was necessary to release these at all, so you can actually just ignore these wubbas and solve the room by ramming adders into each other without ever going to the center section. But let's just pretend that they have to be in the center section. So the way this is supposed to play out is adders eat wubbas, end up in the center, 1 2-length adder is the final one, and the puff comes out and kills it after all this happens. So if I were to just do something simple like this, since the adders are of different lengths, they won't all kill each other the way they're supposed to. I'll ignore those for now. Oops. So let's see what that does. They all eat wubbas at the same time, and right, since they're different lengths, those don't release at the same time. So yeah, and also that one ends up 3 length, so he never dies. What the puzzle was supposed to be about was feeding the adders and changing their path lengths between here and here to make sure that they all get there at the appropriate time. So the longest adder here can just have a direct path with nothing else in it. Because of some complicated constraints, I believe I want direct path for you plus 1 golem. So I want to feed you once. And I can feed you like this. I'm going to keep this open for now, just because moving that golem's easier. And I also want to feed this one, because feeding them a golem is the way you get an odd number of extra turns to offset this pressure plate. You can only get even numbers by changing the path lengths, because adders only move orthogonally. It's just the way that that ends up working. Alright, so I'll give you some food. You need plus 2 path length, which would look something like this. if I do the other side, it'll make more sense. Alright, so you have +2, you get +0. So those are your paths. I made a big mess of those trapdoors, but it doesn't really matter. And then you get fed nothing and get +4. So +4 could look something like this, I think. That looks good. No trapdoor gate here, so they don't all have to be dropped, just have to make adder-compatible paths. So I think this should do what it's supposed to do. You both ate. You have a much longer path. They're all going to eat wubbas. You don't have to eat the wubbas at the same time, just have to release the plates at the same time. Now, one minor complication here. I kind of wish I could have avoided the scotcha somehow, because the puzzle would be simpler without it. Complication is that these shorten by 2 at a time because they're dying. They lose their tail segment and their head at the same time. But taking that into account, this all works. So that one eats that one, and Puff kills the last one, eventually, and the room's done. So yeah, the other way to do that is just to ignore this middle section, set up trapdoor paths so that the adders all run into each other and end up with just a 2-length one, and then the Puff can kill it. It's a little harder to do it that way, maybe, but that's how you could do it if you wanted to avoid using all the stuff in the room. So then this last actual room here, there's just sort of an exit room over that way. This has a bunch of roach queens and disposal mechanisms for each. So only one roach queen per one of those. Actually, that's not true. Couldn't I shove 2 in here? No, even with move order, as soon as one moved from here to here, you couldn't have one moved there. Yeah. Anyway, if you just do this, big mess happens, roach queens get out, roach eggs get laid eventually, nothing too productive happens. So what you gotta do is split them apart so that they'll filter nicely into each one of these. So the way I usually do that, it's convenient to have them on trapdoors so they won't lay eggs as much of the time as possible. So I want a roach queen to be coming this way, like this. So if I were to block that part of that, actually I can do this. I just want to create a little bucket to catch that roach coming up this way. So to measure diagonally, she's going to end up there. So I want to cut this off using vertical preference. She'll go north. All the other roaches will continue that way. This bucket will store her until I walk over to the east, and then she can just sort of get out and walk up that way. So, similar principle for the rest of these. I just kind of want to cut off this diagonal here, like that. Then that creates another storage mechanism for that roach queen, and she'll continue up this way. So these are spread out much more widely than the amount of space you have in the trapdoors. That's what you have to manage here. I could do the same thing again here, I think. But I'd actually rather do something else. If I were to do this, I can send that one straight to the north until she gets in here. And then I can start sending them a different way. Let's see, so I would cut that to there, but why would I do that? Yeah, okay. Since the Roach Queen's joining this column, and it's now west of where I want this to go, I can send her in from this direction. So I could do something like this. This will make more sense once the roaches start running around. Again, open-ended room, lots of ways to do it. This is just the way I like to do it. Okay, so a pattern something like that should do exactly what I want. With the appropriate timing, that was good enough. As good as it needed to be. Whoa. I think I've messed up here. I've created an impossible constraint for myself because I need to be over here in time for that. Yeah, I messed that up. Okay, so I did not draw the appropriate pattern with that. I think what I want to do instead is create another of these... no, I don't want to do that. Okay, how about this? And then... yeah, you can vertical preference your way in there. That's how I'll make that transition. Sure, same kind of thing. Huh. Sure? Something like that, maybe? So just wait here a moment, let them all queue up. I timed that poorly because they laid eggs. So I'll just wait a bit and try again. So the ones that are moving east should all make it in there, yep. The ones that are moving west, I can move myself. And there we go, that's room done. And level done. So this is just the exit room, few more people around here. They don't say anything, they're just kind of enjoying the park for what it is. Engineer looking at this briar infestation here. Level clear gate gets me to a raft, and I can use to get to the exit stairs. So yeah, quick little simple level, kinda. Some freeform drawing challenges, and you get this big mess of stuff that draws a trapdoor. Alright, so that's done. Yeah, so like I said, not the level I'm least proud of these, but I still think it does some good stuff. I don't know, I feel a little bit weird about this, but I wanted to make a level about drawing patterns, and that's how that turned out. Anyway, next up is roleplay. This one's a lot of fun. See you soon for that.